I had some questions about how to do assignment 7, so I thought I'd do a quick little lesson, and hopefully that'll be helpful. Please ignore my dogs if they're barking. Alright, so the easiest way to do this is to go to the application screen, and my dog is going crazy. And the next thing you want to do is we're just going to go over the idle. You should have loaded this already, so it shouldn't be any big deal. Open up idle. And yeah, you can use the console here, the direct, where you just type in the commands. Or what I recommend is create a new file, because most of the time you're going to want to keep your scripts. So we'll just do that. So here's our file. And the next thing that we want to do is, I believe assignment 7 has to do with creating a file IO folder and a grocery list of some type. So let's do that. The first thing we need to do is we need to be able to access the input-output directory library for Kelly. So what we're going to do is we're going to say import, and this is going to give us the ability to talk to the system. And so we're going to input OS, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the make directory command of OS in order to create our folder. So I'm going to make some notes here just to help out a little bit. Create Alright, so the next thing is we'll use OS, and the command is make directory, and we need to name it something, so we're going to call it file title. Alright, and the next thing is, let's see, we're going to open the file, so and I'll just type a little bit, and after I'm done, I'll explain a few things. Oh, let me see if I can turn on the line numbers. That's always helpful. So, I know the instructions are your last name. I'll just use my name. Alright, so what this does here is this opens the file, which is going to be file IO /chapa.txt. So the actual name of the directory is chapa.txt. And then you'll see that this function takes 2 arguments. The second argument is W, which means it's going to write to the file. And that is really all this line does. We create a ability to open this file. Now, one thing about Python is if it doesn't find the file, then it creates it. So the first time, if this does not exist, it's going to create this file. And the next thing we want to do is we're going to write to the file. So I'm going to write some code, and then I'll explain it. On line 9, we say write grocery list of file. We have created the object grocery list of file. Now we're going to say let's write to that file, and we're going to write what's in this between these quotes. So apple 189, bread, cheese, so forth. You could place as many of these as you want to. Line 14 and line 16, we're going to close. So you always have to remember, if you open an object, then you have to close the object. So we're opening this text file, we need to close the text file after we're done with it. So we opened or created it, we did something with it, and now we're going to close it. At this point, this would all work, but you want to do a few more things. Now you want to open it back up and read from the file and see what it says. So that'll be the next step. All right, line 18, we take that object that we created, gross_file. We're going to open it again. This time the file exists, so it's not going to overwrite or create it. And you'll notice over here the second argument is an R, so it's not going to write over it, it's going to read whatever's there. So it looks for the file at this directory, and I need to fix this because that is no longer last name. And say Java. And now it's going to go find that file and it's going to read it. Once we've opened the file and we've read it, we're going to print the contents. And of course, we always close the file or the object after we're done. That's it. We created it, we opened it, we wrote to it, we closed the file, we opened it again, we read the file, we printed the contents of the file, and we closed it. So now it's just a matter of running. And you can always just hit your F5. I usually hit F5 enter. So you hit F5, it's going to save it again. Yes. This time it's not saved, so we're just going to throw it on the desktop because I don't want to keep this file, so I'm just going to call it temp. Alright. And I did something wrong. Oh, misspelled it. Okay, so up here on line 7, I misspelled grocery. Let's do that again. So this time I'm just going to hit F5. And oh, and I did an error. Okay, so let me check my spelling again. Alright, so what I did is this line 4 here, when you make directory, you can only do that the first time you create it. If you do it again, the file already exists, and that's why it threw this exception here. And you can see file exists error, it already existed. And that's because of line 4. It created it the first time when I wrote it. When I did it again, then it wanted to recreate it, and it couldn't do that. So the simple thing was just to comment it out, which is what I did. I just commented it out for the next iteration. And then when I ran the code, you can see it did all of that. So if we were to go to our temp file, let's see here. Oh, I can definitely file out all items right there. And of course that's not going to be right. The contents should be in there, and I'm not sure why it didn't overwrite it, but should have overwritten this. Let me delete this and do that again. Let's run this one more time. Oh, I guess I got to put it down. And there it is. Let's see. Okay, so I have to go find my file. But at the end of the day, you can see the code runs, and then it prints out. And this really is all Assignment 7 is about. Quick and easy.